So back to our iceberg, flipped over all these different dimensions. What I'm going to share with you now is another metaphor where you're working with the iceberg and the three-dimensional aspect at the bottom, source, soul at the top. And another way of looking at it is like a boat pumping air to a human being in a diving suit. This is what soul is like to us. It's supplying us with everything we need. Our life force itself is coming through this whole dimensional realm into the physical. And it's important to realize that all difficulty, all disease that we experience in our lives, it's a blockage or a denial of the energy that's flowing from source. And so karma is in part responsible for this blockage of energy, but there's so much that's happened in group karma, in world karma, in terms of this is a quotation from Rudolf Steiner. In 1917, he was referring to times years before when there were no electrical currents. And he said when the air was not swarming with electrical influences, it was easier to be human. And he said this only 25 years after Nikola Tesla lit up the World's Fair. So this is 25 years of progress. We've had over 100 years since this time. Think of all the electromagnetic frequencies that we have added to our world. Think of all the toxins we have added into our world and how difficult it is to be human today. And what he meant by human was expanding into the fullness of your being. That's what I was describing. You have to be the whole enchilada, the whole iceberg. You have to incorporate that to be the totality of yourself, not just the part that's seen. And that's why he was saying it was taking so much more physical energy at that time. Now I've had guidance that's shared with me, I don't know how human beings can possibly advance in today's world. It's becoming so challenging because of all of these impediments. And so we're talking about this lifeline coming down to you, moving through all these dimensional levels. The electromagnetic pollution puts a kink in that lifetime line. It starts to cut out your air supply. Stress, science finally is recognizing, yes, stress is causing disease. Matter of fact, many of the major diseases are triggered by stress. You know, even it's like, well, rather than go into all that, I think everyone understands the importance of keeping a stress-free life. And that's part of the reason for meditation, to reduce that aspect. And the negative emotions. Whenever we get upset, we're falling back into that fight or flight syndrome that on one level is an animal reaction that gets us out of trouble. And it saved us from saber-toothed tigers. But today we get upset over the tiniest things. A scratch on the car, someone that looks at us funny, and we block our connection to source by taking that emotion on. And our judgments separate us. Our reality is filled with judgments, and judgments spring from karma because karma is learning. Karma is thousands of lifetimes that you've lived the same way in this 3D reality, and you think this is the way to live. And that's a judgment, and that's separating you from the truth. And the toxins are just overwhelming. You can't escape them. You go to Antarctica and they find the snow is tainted. So your body is being shrunk, fixated in the 3D world. And to get rid of these, this is the purpose of what we're doing with all of these tools. So this is a close-up there, the heart companion in the middle of what you are working with. Two sides. It has one side is moving the energy down and is more heart-centered, and the other direction is moving the energy up. It's more mental. Have you noticed that with some of the things that you're doing?
Yes, I can definitely feel the shift one way or the other, depending on which way, the pendant is being worn. And now that you explain that, I really didn't get that piece until you just said it, but it just makes so much sense why I was given that guidance. Because as part of my practice and part of Kriya Yoga, you're using a big piece of Kriya Yoga is the movement of energies and using pranayama to very intentionally move your energies through the Sushumna, the central channel. And so it just makes sense. I'm like, oh, okay, right. That's why flip it one day, one way, like it just strengthens that energy channel to keep flipping it for me in my practice. I believe, like, and I don't know what your experience is, but yeah, exactly. Like, working with, I had this actually come to me today in meditation because we talked about this a little bit before. I also do shamanic journeying as part of my professional work that I do with clients and myself. But I believe working with a guide, like it's very easy to call in a guide to work specifically with this technology and how to use it is, I mean, my guides, as I said, Paramahansa Yogananda, I am already connected, so he told me. But for anybody maybe not coming with a specific guide, meditating on and calling in a guide specifically for this technology is so beneficial because we all have different, in the same way Sri Swami Yukteswar gave different prescriptions for how to use the jewelry to each of his disciples, it's like you could have your own connection to a guide who can direct you with how to use the technology for what you need it for. I don't know if that's true or not, but that I had that sense.
Yeah. There is so much help in the universe. You think of how many physical beings are here on the planet. There are multiple billions and trillions of beings that are not in the physical, that are totally longing to be of service because this is their opportunity. And if you recognize them, there are so many beings that want to support you in your process. And these are tools that we've created to allow that veil to be thinned. And so much of that's thinning now anyway at this time. So it makes it easier for you to call upon support. And whatever you envision your support, it will be there. You can, we'll have guides come. You can call me this, you can call me that. You can just call me.
Just call me. I've been waiting for your call.
Right. Recognize me. Acknowledge your greatness by calling the great ones. The greatest ones will come to you because you're in the physical. You're in a position of being able to transform reality very powerfully from the 3D.
And something that's really important about what Gregory's saying about this is that calling on guidance is really about unification. We are moving into experiencing unity. And when we call on guidance, we are uniting with that consciousness. We are, we're bringing that together into this physical realm. We're enlightening ourselves. And that's what this is all about, to take us from this experience of separation and to be able to have us with understanding our individuality, to be able to bring it into unity. And guidance is so available for that. And when the more we do it, the more we experience that unified consciousness, the oneness. And, something that I love about these tools, like the Heart Companion, with the connection, it's that experience of unity, not losing myself in it, but gaining myself in it, knowing myself in it, and being able to, to take it all in, to take a bigger, deeper breath.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I as we're talking, I'm reminded of something that we had discussed the other day when we were talking, which is we can't, as much as like in our world, I think, Gregory, you were saying that, especially in the Western world, we're taught to be independent and I can do it all on my own and I don't need help, or whatever our story is around not asking for the help that we need, number one, or just being resourceful and getting the help to support us is just ridiculous, because we can't do this on our own. We need tools. This is why the rishis thousands of years ago were coming up with tools for spiritual advancement. I mean, this is not just a new thing that we're tapping into here. This has been done for ages and ages. And so these technologies, like the ones that you've been dedicating your life to, are absolutely necessary. Not only are they necessary, I feel like at this point in time, with your diagram that you're showing, just, yes, I mean, guess what it was like 100 years ago, but now 100 years later. And even the rishis were saying this, as we read from Yogananda, the rishis were saying this thousands of years ago. There are electromagnetic disruptions from the cosmos, not just from our planet, but there are other disruptions coming all over. So it's getting harder and harder and harder. And now more than ever, we need the help. We need the support. We need the tools that we can get, and not try to be Superman or Superwoman and think, I can do this all on my own. I know how to do it. I can figure it out. You know what?
Yeah.
None of us can figure it all out on our own. That's why it takes a village, right? It's not about being an island here. We're meant to rise together.
And that's the beauty of co-creation. And that's the state that we're in now. Team, there's been a lot, like in business in the last number of years, with teamwork, helping people go from that place of taking orders from somebody else and just doing their little part of it. Instead, we've been stair-stepping up to something called teamwork. Well, that takes us into an even bigger step, which is co-creation. We are creative beings, and we're here to co-create, not only with each other here on the physical plane, we're here to co-create with all the dimensionality that we have, that we're capable of interacting with. And that's where things really get juicy. Years ago, I was working as a painter, as an artist, and I was, it really, I went through a lot in the creative process. Something that I learned to do was to quiet my mind. And at that time, I had never taken a meditation class. I didn't really know much of anything about it, but intuitively, I knew that what I needed was to sit quietly in front of my blank canvas until I really felt I was ready, until I felt that connection. And it wasn't just me, in my personality. It was the unity. It was what I loved most was when I was in that state so deeply that it didn't even feel as if I was moving my hand. It was moving with the paint. And what a magical feeling that was. And that, I believe, is even more important now, getting together into co creative capacity, because each one of us in this physical realm and each of the beings that are on the higher dimensional levels, just think about it. When we bring something together in the spirit of co creation, whoa, that's where we really take that quantum leap.
It is. And I think you're even just speaking into your description of the painting in that way is such a wonderful description of stepping into the fullness of our being and inhabiting the fullness of our being. And what karma does is it literally blocks us. It disconnects us from the fullness of our being. We're not broken. We're not trying to repair anything. We're just um, literally just working towards, as we clear our karma, stepping more fully into the fullness of our being and the truth of who we are, which is the unity consciousness, as you're speaking to. I love that. The painting, it lives in us, as us, through us. And that's the experience that happens as we begin to clear our karma. And it is such a yummy, juicy, wonderful experience to be in.
And also, it's important to realize, excuse me, what the rishis were talking about thousands of years ago in terms of cosmic influences. Well, right now, we are moving over the threshold of a very, very incredible cosmic influence. And those energies are coming into our planet because the sun's magnetosphere is entering, which goes far beyond all the planets. You think of the auric body of the sun. It moves out very far, and it's moving into aspects of our galaxy right now, which is bringing in tremendous influx of higher vibrational energy, actually much higher temperatures. Everything is going on, and the magnetic field of the Earth has gone through a lot of diminishment, which allows for more cosmic influences to come in. And so a lot of what these tools and the technology we're working with is to help people interface with the new energies that are coming in and be able to keep the integrity of your field and work with these energies in a way that's positive. You see, what these energies are doing is they are coming and wanting to flow through your body, through all the chakras, through the central channel. And wherever you have issues, wherever you have blockages, it's going to exacerbate those. It's going to inflame them so that you have to deal with, and those are issues, those are blockages, that's karma. You've got to deal with it. You've got to deal with it as quickly and gracefully as you can to allow the energy to flow. Otherwise, you can wallow in it and be in a lot of pain. And that's what a lot of the world is going through right now. The world is going through a great deal of wallowing in pain and caught in the illusion of separation, which is exacerbating that whole process.